I found my dad after 30 years. What he told me changed everything. You ever have one of those days where your whole world just flips? Like everything you thought you knew gets ripped out from under you, and suddenly you're standing somewhere you've never been before, both in place and in your own head? Yeah, that was me, exactly 30 years after I last saw my dad. I'm Jake, 38 years old, and for most of my life, my dad was just a ghost story. Not the fun kind, either, the kind that leaves you with more questions than answers and a hole in your heart you don't even know how to patch. My mom never talked much about him. He had his reasons, she'd say, then change the subject like she was afraid the words might shatter something fragile inside her. So for 30 years, I lived with this blank space in my family picture. No birthday cards, no holiday dinners, no memories with a guy who helped make me. But then everything changed. It started with a phone call on a random Tuesday evening. My phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. Normally, I'd ignore it. Spam calls are a daily nuisance, but something about that moment made me answer. Jake? It's me. Your dad. My heart stopped. I sat down hard, like I'd just been punched in the chest. There was a crack in his voice, like he wasn't sure if I'd believe it was him. And honestly, neither was I. Dad? After all these years? Why now? I asked, voice shaking. There was a long pause. Then he said something I wasn't ready for. I need you to hear my side, the whole story. It's time. That one call sent me spiraling. Questions I'd buried for decades flooded back. Why did he leave? Was he even safe? And most of all, what had he been doing all these years while I grew up without him? I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying his words, wondering if this was some kind of trick or if my life was about to be rewritten. The next day, I did what I never thought I'd do. I called him back. We arranged to meet, not in some public place or halfway point. He wanted me to come to him, to the town where he'd been living quietly, a place I'd never been before. I told my mom. She was silent for a long time, then said, "Just be careful, Jake. People aren't always who they seem." But I had to know. After 30 years, I needed to see the man behind the stories, behind the silence. And so I packed a bag, booked a train ticket, and headed into the unknown. I had no idea the secrets waiting for me. Secrets that would shake everything I thought I knew about family, loyalty, and truth. Because the man I was about to meet wasn't just my dad. He was someone who'd been running from something, or someone, for a long, long time. The train ride was long. Long enough for my mind to run wild with every possible scenario. I kept staring out the window, but all I saw were blurred trees and empty fields. It felt like the world around me was moving fast, but inside, I was stuck in slow motion, waiting for what was to come. When I finally arrived, the town looked like it had been forgotten by time. Small streets, a handful of shops, and faces that seemed cautious, almost suspicious of outsiders. I wondered if any of them knew my dad, or if they were part of the reason he disappeared in the first place. I had his address scribbled on a crumpled piece of paper he'd texted me the day before. My heart pounded as I walked up to the house. It wasn't much, an old weathered place with peeling paint and a front porch that creaked under my weight. I took a deep breath and knocked. The door opened slowly. There he was, older than I remember from pictures, lines etched deep into his face, eyes tired but sharp. For a moment, we just stared at each other, like two strangers caught in the middle of a lifetime of silence. "Jake," he said, voice low. "You made it." I nodded, but my throat was tight. "Why did you leave? Why did you disappear?" He sighed and stepped aside, motioning me in. It's a long story, one I wasn't sure I could ever tell you. Inside, the house smelled of dust and memories. Photos lined the walls, some old black and white pictures of a younger version of him, a woman I assumed was my mom, and a little boy who looked just like me. We sat down, and he started talking. At first, it was slow, hesitant. Then the story poured out like a dam breaking. Turns out my dad hadn't just walked away because he wanted to. There were things, dangerous things, that forced him to vanish. Things he never told my mom because he wanted to protect us. There were people, he said, people who didn't want me to be around. I got mixed up in something I should have walked away from. But I didn't. And it cost me everything. I asked what kind of people. He hesitated, then whispered, I was involved with the wrong crowd. Things got out of hand. I tried to make it right, but sometimes that's not enough. I felt a mix of anger and sympathy. All these years, I thought he just didn't care. But maybe he was fighting a battle I never knew about. Then came the part that hit me hardest. I wanted to come back. I wanted to be there for you. But I wasn't safe. And if I came back, it could have put you and your mom in danger. The weight of those words settled heavy in the room. I was angry, yes, but also scared. What kind of danger had my dad been running from? And were those threats still out there? I realized this reunion wasn't just about reconnecting. It was about survival. About secrets that could still tear us apart, or maybe finally bring us together. Why tell me now? I asked. Because I need your help, he said, looking me dead in the eyes. And because I'm running out of time. After hearing him say, I need your help, I realized this wasn't just a casual reunion or a chance to fill in some blanks. There was something serious happening. Something that still threatened him, and maybe me too. I looked at him and asked the question that had been burning inside me for years. What exactly were you running from? He hesitated, then leaned forward, voice dropping to a whisper. It started with a business deal. I got involved with people who seemed legit at first, but they were far from it. They used threats, violence, even worse. When I tried to back out, they made it clear I couldn't just walk away. I felt my stomach twist. I'd always imagined his absence was because he didn't care, or because of some personal failing. But this was something darker. They knew I had a family, he said, and I couldn't risk you or your mom getting hurt. So I disappeared. I thought if I stayed away, they'd leave us alone. I struggled to wrap my head around it. 30 years of silence because of some dangerous people. Why hadn't he fought back? Why hadn't he told my mom? I tried, he admitted. But every time I thought I was free, something pulled me back in. And I made mistakes, things I'm not proud of. I lost a lot, but I never stopped thinking about you. He looked at me with a mix of regret and hope that I couldn't ignore. But why now? I asked. Why reach out after all this time? He took a deep breath. Because they found me again. And this time they're coming for you. Those words hit me like a punch. Me? Why would I be a target after all these years? They think you have something I took from them, he said, voice tight. Something valuable. I don't know what it is, but I have to protect you. I'm sorry I couldn't before. I sat there stunned. My whole life had been shaped by his absence, and now I was being pulled into a world I never knew existed. The man I thought was just my dad was someone caught in a web of danger and lies. I realized then that this reunion was just the beginning. What came next could change everything. Because now, I wasn't just a son trying to understand his father. I was someone who needed to survive. And whatever they were chasing, it wasn't going to stop until they got it. After everything Dad told me, I was drowning in questions and fear. He said they were coming for me, that I was some kind of target. But who were they? What was I supposed to do now? Trust him and dive headfirst into a dangerous world, or cut ties forever and try to live a normal life? That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying his words, wondering if I was making a huge mistake. Part of me wanted to run. Part of me wanted answers so badly I could taste them. The next morning, I found him in the kitchen, quietly drinking coffee like he'd been waiting for me to decide. So, what now? I asked, my voice rough. He looked up, eyes serious but calm. We lay low for a while. I'll explain everything I know. Then, if you're willing, we figure out how to stop this. Stop what? I demanded. You said they want me because of something you took from them. What is it? He hesitated again, then reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, worn notebook. This. I took the notebook, flipping it open carefully. It was full of names, dates, coded notes, stuff I couldn't understand. But it was clear. This thing was important. Dangerous. They want this notebook, he said. It holds evidence of everything they've done, illegal deals, threats, even worse crimes. If they get it back, it's not just me or you in danger. People will get hurt. I looked at him, searching his face for the man I'd always imagined my dad to be. The protector, the hero. But I saw something else. A man who'd been broken by fear and regret but was trying to make things right. I had to make a choice. Trust him and risk everything, or walk away and never know the truth. Why me? I asked. Why bring me into this now? Because you're the only family I have left, and because you deserve to know. I never wanted you caught in this, but now that you are, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. His words hit me hard. For the first time, I saw his pain, the weight he'd carried alone for decades. I nodded slowly. All right, I'm in. But no more secrets. From now on, we face this together. He smiled, a small, relieved smile. Good. Because the people coming for us aren't going to wait. We have to act fast. That's when I realized my life was about to change forever. I wasn't just a son who found his dad after 30 years. I was part of something much bigger. Something dangerous. And the only way out was to fight. After agreeing to help him, everything moved faster than I expected. We spent days planning, going over the notebook, trying to figure out who exactly was after us and how to stay one step ahead. But then it happened. The knock on the door. Late night, 3 sharp, heavy knocks that sent a chill down my spine. We weren't alone. My dad looked at me, eyes sharp with urgency. Get ready. It's time. We slipped out the back and into the shadows. The streets were quiet, but danger felt close, like a storm waiting to break. As we moved, he told me more. How he tried to expose these people years ago. How they destroyed his life to keep their secrets buried. But the notebook was proof, and if we could get it to the right people, maybe they'd finally be brought down. We had to reach a safe house across town. It was a desperate plan, but it was all we had. Halfway there, headlights appeared behind us. They were close, too close. My heart was pounding as we ran through alleys and side streets, the sound of footsteps echoing behind us. Then, just when I thought we'd lose them, my dad pulled me into an old warehouse. Inside, he handed me the notebook. This is your fight now, he said. I'm going to distract them. You get this to safety. Before I could protest, he slipped into the darkness. I held the notebook tight and ran. The next hours were a blur, dodging cars, hiding in shadows, calling contacts my dad had trusted years ago. Finally, I reached a journalist friend my dad trusted. She promised to expose everything. And that's when I realized something. My dad hadn't just disappeared because he was afraid. He'd been fighting for justice all along, even if it meant losing his family. As the truth came out, the people chasing us were arrested. The nightmare was over. I stood there, holding the notebook, feeling a strange mix of pain and relief. I found my dad after 30 years, but more than that, I found the truth. And maybe, finally, a chance to rebuild what was lost.